So understanding this is going to allow you to manifest instantly. A lot of people, they're trying to manifest and they've been trying for ages. They've been studying the law of attraction. They've been studying manifestation. They've been visualizing. They've been doing affirmations. They've been doing everything and nothing ever works. Well, you have to understand, it's not that manifestation doesn't work. It's not that the law of attraction doesn't work. It's simply that you do not know whatever it is that you would need to know that would allow you to manifest, right? So let's talk about something, right? What is manifestation? Well, manifestation is just vibrationally aligning with the frequency of your desired reality, aligning with the frequency of whatever it is that you would want. And once you align with that frequency, that which you want is going to materialize into the third dimension, the physical plane, whatever you want to call it, right? So it's truly that simple, right? So you have to understand right now you're on this old frequency, right? Because physical reality is just mirroring your frequency, right? So let's say this is physical reality, right? So this is physical reality, right? You are here, right? This is where you are. So you are here. This is physical reality. And then this is your invisible frequency, right? So let's say you're vibrating here. We're going to call this the old frequency. This is the old frequency, right? Physical reality is a reflection of this old frequency right here, right? So everything you see in your physical reality is simply a reflection of that invisible frequency that you're vibrating on that you cannot see with your physical eyes, right? So you have to understand this very, very, very well, right? Make sure you never forget this. Write it down. Make sure you don't forget it, right? So if you want to change that which you see in physical reality, you have to change this frequency, right? So let's say this person is vibrating at a frequency of poverty. They're vibrating at a frequency of anxiety, and they're vibrating at a frequency where they're unconfident. This is the frequency that this person's vibrating on, right? This is what they're going to see in their physical reality. So they're going to be unconfident, they're going to have anxiety, and maybe, they're working a 9-to-5 job they hate, they're poor, they don't want to be poor, right? You have to understand that everything you see in your life is just a reflection. It's simply a reflection of this invisible frequency, right? A lot of people, they go, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to change this, I need to change this. No, the first thing you need to change is your frequency, because everything you see physically is a reflection of this invisible frequency anyways, right? So the person is poor, they have anxiety, and they're unconfident, right? So understand, remember, what did I say? It's because of this frequency. They are unconfident, they have anxiety, and they're experiencing poverty because they're at the frequency that they need to be on to experience that within their physical reality. So let's say what's their desired reality? First, you have to know what you want, right? So what does this person want? Let's say this person's name is, let's say his name is Fred. This guy's name is Fred, right? Okay, Fred doesn't want to experience poverty. He wants to experience abundance. Okay, he doesn't want anxiety. He wants peaceful and positive thoughts, right? And he doesn't want to be unconfident. He wants to be confident, right? So those are three separate programs that he's going to need to install into his mind. Those are three separate frequencies and he's going to need to tune into, right? So let's say poverty represents this frequency, anxiety represents this frequency, but it's all part of his core vibration. This is the frequency he's vibrating on, right? So he wants to experience abundance. He wants to have peaceful and calm thoughts, and he wants to be confident, right? Well, you have to understand the quickest way to do this, the only way to do this, is to change your frequency. That's the quickest, most efficient way to get whatever it is that you want, because this is how reality works, right? So if Fred, watches this video, right? He watches this video, he's like, oh, I didn't know this. What this guy's saying is true, right? Okay, let me begin changing my frequency. Let me begin vibrationally aligning, right, with the frequency, because Fred wants to tap into, let's say this frequency right here, right? This frequency right here is abundance, peace, right? And confidence. So this frequency is abundance, this frequency is peace, this frequency is confidence, right? These are 3 frequencies he needs to tap into. These are 3 programs he needs to install into his subconscious mind. Because if you don't understand how frequency works, this is how it works. So you have a subconscious belief system, right? And what's in your subconscious mind, your subconscious beliefs determine the frequency that you're vibrating on, right? So basically, for Fred to change his frequency, he needs to change his belief. He needs to convince his subconscious mind that he's abundant, that he has peaceful, positive thoughts, and he has confidence. In fact, let's say this is how everything works. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibrations, right? So let's just say this is energy, right? This is energy, and then this energy is filtered through the subconscious mind, right? So let's say this is subconscious beliefs, right? So this energy is filtered through the subconscious beliefs. And then once it's like, think of this like as a prism. This is like a prism. And then this energy is filtered through the subconscious belief system, and that which you believe determines your frequency. So this energy is filtered through this glass prism. Think of it as a glass prism, and then that determines the frequency that you vibrate on, right? So that means that Fred, his subconscious mind is filled with beliefs of poverty, anxiety, and unconfidence. That means his frequency, the frequency he's going to be vibrating on, right? This prism is going to reflect, it's going to refract this frequency, and then your physical reality is a reflection of that frequency you're vibrating on. So what Fred has to do is he has to go into this subconscious belief system, and then he has to change the subconscious belief system to that of abundance. He has to convince his subconscious mind he's abundant, that he has peaceful, positive thoughts, and that he's confident. Once he changes the beliefs here, the frequency is going to shift and change, and then his physical reality is going to reflect that change that he made in his subconscious mind, that change that he made within his frequency, right? Awesome, right? So let's say, Fred changes, he's doing the work, he's reprogramming his subconscious mind, he's changing his frequency. Now he's not vibrating at poverty, he's not vibrating at unconfidence and anxiety anymore. Now he's vibrating at abundance. Abundance, peace, and confidence. So this is the frequency that he's vibrating on. He's vibrating at abundance, he's vibrating at peace, and he's vibrating at confidence. Now that he's vibrating on this new frequency, you have to understand, now that he's vibrating at this new frequency, physical reality is going to reflect that new frequency, right? And then he doesn't really have to do anything. That's the funny thing about it, isn't it? Because he's just going to automatically, unconsciously start acting more confident. He's going to start attracting abundance into his life. And he's just going to have peaceful thoughts, right? You have to understand, someone who has anxiety, the only reason they have negative thoughts is because they're on a negative, anxious vibration. Someone who's experiencing lack is because they're on a vibration of lack, a frequency of lack. Same with confidence. You change the frequency, physical reality is a mirror. A lot of people think that they have to do this, they have to do this, they have to do this. No, not really. If you change the frequency, right, you change the frequency, physical reality is going to reflect that, and everything that needs to happen for you to be abundant and have peaceful thoughts and confidence, all that is going to completely reflect. Now, here's one thing that's extremely important. Your job is to place your attention and your awareness on the new frequency while simultaneously resisting and not reacting to the old frequency. Because the old frequency, what it's going to do, it's going to try its best to get you to react negatively in an emotional way so it can shift you back into that reality. So it can shift you back into that experience, right? So what you have to understand is, yes, Fred is doing the work. Right now he's vibrating at abundance, peace, confidence, but he has to maintain that high frequency state long enough for whatever it is that he wants to physically materialize in his physical reality. He has to maintain that frequency long enough. Now here's a trick. I've never heard anyone talk about this trick when it comes to not reacting, right? Make sure you don't react, right? And do your best not to react. Obviously, you're human, right? Sometimes something extremely horrible or whatever, sometimes it's difficult. If someone's working a job and they have coworkers that trigger them every day, it's going to be extremely difficult not to react. The thing is, do your absolute and utter best and make sure that you shorten the time of how long you react. right? Make sure you do your best not to react. A very good way to, because a lot of people who talk about this type of information, they act like when you don't react, do not react to those frequency. They act like you have to, be perfect. You have to be this perfect being that never reacts. That's impossible. Physical reality is very chaotic. It's all over the place. And if you're on an old frequency, the chances are you want to get to a new frequency because you don't like your old frequency. And there's things in your old frequency, there's things in your physical reality that you don't like. So it's gonna, if you're living a life that you don't like, it's gonna be pretty difficult not to react. So here's the thing. Think of it this way, right? One way to think about it is, I remember I was driving a car on a freeway. I was driving this old car, my car on a freeway. It was a while ago, right? And I remember that the car stopped while I was driving on the freeway. The car just stopped, right? So I'm on the freeway and the car just turns off. The car just turns off, right? The brakes are all rough. The steering wheel is like, because the power steering's off, the car's off. So it's all heavy. I remember I start turning the car. I try to turn and it's like, it almost goes here and I have to turn the wheel back to stay in the lane that I'm in. So what did I do in that situation, right? So I remained very calm and I've remained very relaxed. Here's the thing. This is what's happening outside in the external realm, right? I'm driving on the freeway. The car turns off, right? That's annoying. That's a big issue, right? It's not that the situation isn't bad. It's that if I reacted negatively in that exact specific situation, it would have made everything worse. So what I did is I remained very calm. I remained very relaxed and I didn't react at all. I said, okay, car's off. Okay, brakes. Okay. So there was an exit, right? There was an exit and I looked to see if there's no cars coming. And then I tried to, when I saw that it was clear, I did my best to turn the steering wheel all the way to the right. I put my hazards on. And then I slowly started pushing on the gas, but I had to like really push on the gas because the car's off. And then I was able to get the car off the freeway. And when I was going on the ramp that goes off the freeway, it was one of those ramps where it's like you're going down. So it's like the freeway's up here and you're going down. So I had a bit of momentum, so that gave me enough momentum, while I was driving the car to keep going a little bit. And then I was able to park the car like on the side of the road right by the exit ramp. Now, the thing is, that situation was horrible and it's a very horrible situation to be in. But the thing is, I reacted very calmly. I was very relaxed. I reacted in a very positive way. Yes, outside, this situation is bad. It's horrible. It doesn't look good. But if I react in a negative way, it's going to make everything a trillion times worse. I remained calm. I remained relaxed. I was able to safely get the car on the side of the road, off the freeway, and then I was good, right? So yes, the circumstance is bad, but the way you react to it depends what happens and how bad you make it. So if someone's working a job that they hate or they can't pay their bills, they're vibrating at the frequency of poverty, right? Yes, the circumstance is bad. The circumstance is horrible. But if you react negatively, it's not that the circumstance isn't bad. It's if you react negatively in a horrible way, it's going to make everything worse, way worse. So yes, the circumstance is bad, but react in a very calm, relaxing, peaceful, positive way. Because you have to understand that when you react in a negative way, you perpetuate your negative situation, whatever it is, right? If you're in a horrible situation, the smartest, most intelligent way to act and react in that negative, horrible situation is you react and act in a positive way. The reason you react in a positive way is because you have to make sure that you're not perpetuating that negative old frequency. The old frequency wants you to react to your negative situation. Make sure you don't react to the negative situation because it perpetuates the negative experiences in your physical reality, right? So it's not about what happens, it's about how you react to it. And even though the circumstance could be bad, you have to make sure you react in a very positive way because that's going to because think about it with the car situation. If I had reacted negatively and I started panicking and I was all over, it could have been way worse, right? It was a bad situation, but I reacted very well. Therefore, I was able to get a very good outcome. But so bad circumstance, I reacted very well. I was able to get a good outcome, right? Me reacting in that way allowed me to get out of that bad situation and that bad circumstance. And the best way possible. I had the highest chance of getting out of that situation in the best way possible because I reacted positively. But if I reacted negatively, now it makes everything a trillion times worse. So that's why you have to make sure you do not react to the negative circumstances that pop up in the 3D, the physical world. There's a bunch of names that people say, right? And another thing that I want to say as well is you have to understand that this is extremely important, right? So this is what I was saying earlier. When I was saying that no one has ever said this before, I went on a bit of a tangent and I started ranting. But this is what I mean. This is what I want to talk about. And you're not going to hear this anywhere. You've never heard anyone say this. If you've been watching a bunch of videos on manifestation, you've been watching a bunch of videos on law of attraction, you've never heard anyone say what I'm about to say in your life. And it's a game changer. No one knows this, right? So you have to understand, right? So, right? I don't know why this thing isn't working. So right now you're in the third dimension, right? Third dimension, right? So you're in the third dimension, right? Dimension, right? All right, so you're in the third dimension. I didn't spell that properly, but it doesn't matter. You're here to learn the information. This is not a spelling class. And then there's also the fourth dimension, right? Fourth dimension, right? So there's the third dimension and then there's the fourth dimension, right? There's that which is invisible to you. So this is invisible. And then so this is invisible and then this is visible, right? So when you begin doing the work and you shift your frequency, right? You begin shifting your frequency, you begin thinking more positively, you begin feeling abundant, you begin doing the work on an energetic level. You have to understand, right, that you're actually vibrating at the new frequency of your desired reality, right? But your body still may be stuck in the old reality. This is extremely important. And the example we're going to use for this is anxiety, right? So we're going to use anxiety as an example. Some people have extreme anxiety. Let's say you're reprogramming your subconscious mind to get rid of anxiety, right? So essentially what happens is when you begin doing the work and you begin shifting your frequency, what's going to happen is energetically, on an energetic level, you're vibrating on that new frequency, which is peaceful and positive thoughts, right? Because you have this magnetic field, you have this field around your body. So you're vibrating at this, let's say your body's in here. So you're vibrating at this new frequency, right? You're vibrating at this new frequency. Yes, you're at a let's say someone has anxiety and they're reprogramming their mind to have peaceful, positive thoughts. If you do everything correctly, you are vibrating at that frequency where you have peaceful thoughts, right? So you're vibrating, let's say, peaceful thoughts. You're vibrating at this new frequency, right? So you're vibrating at this new frequency where you have peaceful thoughts. But the thing is, your physical body, right? Your physical body, your nervous system is still used to the old frequency, right? Your body, old frequency, right? So your physical body, as I said, you've never heard this anywhere before. Your physical body is still used to the old frequency, right? Your physical body is still running these unconscious negative, horrible programs of the old frequency. So even though you're vibrating at this new frequency of having peaceful thoughts, having abundance, being rich, whatever it is that you want, right? Yes, you're vibrating on it. On a 4-dimensional level, your magnetic field, the energy around your body, you're vibrating at this new frequency of peaceful thoughts, abundance, confidence, whatever it is that you want. But your physical body, the third dimension is lagging. Physical world is lagging. Your physical body is actually still vibrating at that old frequency. Your nervous system is still going to be vibrating at that old frequency. That's why if you truly, reprogram your subconscious mind correctly, properly, and you shift your frequency correctly and properly, you're going to feel a bit interesting because let's say someone has extreme anxiety, right? I'm not saying this happens all the time, but let's say someone has extreme anxiety. Essentially what's going to happen is if you change your frequency correctly, right? A lot of the times you're going to feel like you have peaceful thoughts, positive thoughts. You're going to feel confident. You're going to feel abundant. You're going to feel great, right? But then also at the same time, it's going to feel like your body is stuck in the old frequency. It's going to feel like your body's stuck in the past. It's going to feel like your body is still going to be trying to get it's trying to get you. Think of the old frequency, your old frequency as your nervous system still stuck running that old program, right? So essentially what's going to happen is if you focus on the awareness outside of your body, It's almost as if you're tapping into this field, this new energy that you're vibrating at, but your physical body hasn't caught up to that new energy yet. So your nervous system is still going to be generating these old negative programs. So one thing that you need to do to make sure you don't react to the old frequency, don't react to the old negative reality, is a lot of the times, even though you're vibrating at the frequency of abundance, right? You're vibrating at abundance, right? This field right here that you can't see, it's invisible. You're vibrating at abundance, but your body may still be vibrating at lack. So your body is still vibrating on the frequency of lack, right? This is extremely important because what's going to happen essentially is you're going to feel abundant, and then sometimes your body is going to try to generate a negative feeling of lack because it's still running that old program, right? So you have to understand very, very, very well that, okay, right? When I begin doing the work, when I begin reprogramming my subconscious mind, changing my frequency, right? Sometimes I'm going to feel great and amazing, but then sometimes I'm going to feel something trying to drag me back into the old frequency. A lot of the time, that's your nervous system because it's still running at that old program, right? So you have to understand, and as I said, this is that one secret hat that all of you guys who stay to the end of this video, you're going to get. It's going to allow you to manifest quickly, instantly. It's going to completely change it's going to change everything when it comes to your manifestations. It's one of the easiest ways to react is place your attention and place your awareness on this field outside of your body. Don't place your attention on your body because your body is still running at the old program. Your body's still running that old software, that old operating system, right? Right? Because you remember the third dimension, it takes time for things to happen over here, right? So your body's still running at that old program, right? But here on the fourth dimension, on an energetic level, you're already vibrating at that frequency of abundance. You're already vibrating at that frequency where you have peaceful, positive thoughts. You're already vibrating at that frequency where you have what you want. The thing is, your body is still stuck in the old program. So what you guys are going to find is if you place your attention and if you place your awareness on your body, right, a lot of the times you're going to feel those frequencies. You're going to feel the old thought patterns. You're not going to feel the best, right? But if you are actually doing the work properly, you're shifting your frequency properly, you're going to feel way better placing your attention and your awareness outside of here. This is when you feel something, the old frequency, you feel something trying to get you to react like, oh, it's not going to work. You're never going to have peaceful, positive thoughts. You're never going to be abundant. You're never going to be confident. When you hear that, that's usually you're going to feel it's coming from the body. It's coming from the nervous system. That's the old frequency, right? Your body's still running on that old program, right? So you have to understand that, okay, when you feel like, oh, something's trying to get me to react, do not place your attention, your awareness on your body. Place your attention on your awareness on the field around your body because it's already vibrating at that new frequency, right? But your body's still running on that old program. It hasn't caught up yet, right? So that's one thing I guarantee you a lot of you do. You're going to be able to manifest instantly. You're going to be able to manifest way quicker because you're not going to have the tug and pull war of the old frequency, right? Because you're going to be able to essentially focus on those peaceful, positive thoughts. You're going to focus on that. You're going to be able to focus on that new frequency more because you're focused on the field around your body instead of your body itself that's still running on the old frequency, that's still running on the old program. So I guarantee you, apply this right now, do this right now, and I guarantee it's going to change your manifestation game. All of you people studying the law of attraction, manifestation, all this type of stuff, if you apply this, you're going to notice massive results. I absolutely guarantee it, and it's going to be way easier not to react to your old frequency, not to react to your old reality, not to react to the physical world, when instead of placing your awareness and your attention on your body, on that which you can see physically, you place your attention, your awareness on the energy field around your body because it's vibrating at that new frequency if you are able to change your frequency correctly.